Welcome back to another installment of Free Money NFL Week 9 edition. We are just past the halfway point of the season, so let's take a look at how our picks have fared so far this year. Overall, pretty solid numbers, but still plenty of money to be made the rest of the way. So let's get right into it. On the fantasy side, we start off with a bargain buy this week for people who play daily fantasy. Start Drew Lock. Drew Lock is coming off an electric performance against the Chargers. He threw for 248 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a walk-off game winner. This week, he faces a Falcons defense that is even worse than his dancing skills. The Falcons defense ranks 30th in QB rating allowed and 32nd in passing touchdowns allowed. Lock is a great option this week, and the price for him allows you the flexibility to add some other studs to your roster, maybe a Dalvin Cook or someone along those lines. But I do think Lock has the potential to put up a couple good numbers along with that, so you're getting a great bang for your buck. Start James Robinson. Robinson has been featured on this segment about as much as he's been featured in the Jags offense. And there's a reason for that. There's a lot to like with Robinson. He currently sits 6th in the NFL with 706 yards from scrimmage. Robinson has the more scrimmage yards through 7 games than any undrafted rookie in NFL history. On top of that, he is yet to have a game under 10 points fantasy-wise this season. This week, the Jags have a rookie quarterback, Jake Luton, under center, which bodes well for Robinson, as the game will likely be placed in his hands. He should get a lot of targets, and they're probably going to rely on him heavily on the ground. Meanwhile, the Texans' defense is allowing the second most rushing yards per game, giving up a whopping 165.9 yards on the ground. Ride the hot hand with Robinson this week. Start Antonio Gibson. Gibson looked fantastic before the Washington football team's bye. He scored 18.8 fantasy points and a win over the Cowboys and racked up 100 yards on the ground. Put him in the lineup this week because New York's defense is struggling against running backs, as 5 players at the position have scored at least 16.7 points against them. That's good news for Gibson, who leads his backfield in snaps and touches while averaging more than 13 fantasy points per game. He has scored at least 10 points in 5 of his 7 games played this season. Start Will Fuller. Fuller's riding a 5-game touchdown streak, so ride the hot hand. He has had 15 or more points in 4 of his last 5 games. The trade deadline has come and gone, and now that he's stuck in Houston, he has no more distractions. He's also established himself as Houston's clear number 1 wide receiver. This week, he lines up against a Jaguars defense that's allowing 31.4 points per game and surrendered a touchdown to Fuller the last time these two teams met in Week 5. I suspect they will do the same this week. Start Will Fuller. Finally, start Justin Jefferson. The last time I recommended Jefferson, he kind of stunk. But at first, if you don't succeed, try again. Last week, the Vikings only threw 14 times, so Jefferson's numbers were not great. However, that's an outlier, and don't let it deter you. I believe this kid has the talent to be a top 10 wide receiver in this league. And the win was heavily affecting the passing game when they played the Packers. So you mix his talent against a Detroit defense that's allowed an average of more than 180 receiving yards per game to wide receivers, and that's allowing 7.2 yards per pass attempt, which a total of 7 wideouts have posted 17 plus games against them. And then you add that to the fact that Jefferson already has 3 100-yard games, and it's 2 horrendous defenses facing each other with a pretty good quarterback in Kirk Cousins. This should be a shootout, and Justin Jefferson should see a lot of targets. So that equals a great start for fantasy owners in Justin Jefferson. Finally, on to the betting side of things. I feel like I say this every week, but I truly believe this is our strongest week of picks we have had all season. So, without further ado, let's dive headfirst into it. Take the Texans over the Jaguars. Get ready for the Tank Bowl. 2 teams about to butt heads on Sunday with a combined 2 wins between them. But after pulling off a shocking upset in Week 1, the Jags have come crashing down to earth. The Jaguars have dropped 6 games, including 1 to the Texans. They have lost their last 3 by at least 10 points, and during that stretch, they are 0-3 against the spread. Now in this one, Jacksonville will be out be without Gardner Minshew after he suffered a thumb injury. They now turn to a rookie 6th-round pick in Jake Luton, who has never thrown an NFL pass. And with a defense that's giving up the 31st most points in the league, 31.4, the Jaguars could really struggle, even against another 1-6 squad like Houston. While the Texans are no world beaters, in fact, they've been pretty awful this year, Deshaun Watson's played well. He's had a passer rating over 100 in his last 5 games. And I have heard this week that Watson has not given up on the season. And after not dealing Fuller at the deadline, he and interim head coach Romeo Crennelli are motivated to try and make a late season push. Is it going to happen? I don't know, but this is a great game to start, and I feel like they'll easily cover that 7-point spread. Take the Chiefs over the Panthers. Chiefs are favored by double digits here in this one. Panthers are getting 10 points. I usually don't like taking teams favored by double digits, but this matchup was too good to pass up. Most of the money's bet on the Panthers. So when this line opened, it was almost around 14. It's moved down. It can move even further down before kickoff if you're patient. However, even if it doesn't, the Chiefs' explosive offense should have no problem covering. Their average margin of victory this year is just over 15 points. When Mahomes and the Chiefs get rolling, watch out because it can get ugly. Just ask the Broncos and Jets. The Panthers' defense has outperformed expectations this season, particularly in coverage. Carolina has allowed just 9 receptions on passes thrown over 20 or more yards downfield all year in their zone-heavy scheme. But that's not a problem for the Chiefs. Mahomes is more than comfortable taking what he's given underneath. Mahomes' average depth of target is 8.4 yards. That's in the bottom half of the 32 qualifying NFL quarterbacks. So he has no problem checking it down. If you're going to give him yards to Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill underneath, he will take it. They can also beat you on the ground, too, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell. So a nice 1-2 punch. The Chiefs have blown out much better defenses than the Panthers. In Week 3, they beat a Ravens team who ranks 2nd in scoring defense. And they beat them by 14 points and put up a 34-burger. Speaking of Andy Reid's favorite food, Andy Reid's play calling combined with weapons like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Le'Veon Bell make the Chiefs offense extremely dangerous when it's operating on schedule and in rhythm. Even though you worry about absurd plays Mahomes can make outside the pocket or otherwise in the play, the Panthers need to force him into those situations. Otherwise, it's going to be a long afternoon, and I'll be honest, I don't think the Panthers defense is capable of forcing him into those situations. Finally, take the Steelers over the Cowboys. We're going really crazy this week. We're taking another team that's favored by double digits. In fact, this one's favored by 2 touchdowns. The Steelers are favored by 14 points. I don't care what the line is. Bet the Steelers in this one. There is no path to victory for the Cowboys. The Ben DiNucci experiment is over, and they're going with a practice squad quarterback, Cooper Rush. Well, have fun back there against the Steelers' pass rush, Cooper, because according to Pro Football Focus, the Cowboys have allowed pressure on 38% of dropbacks this season. That's the 9th highest total in the league. They are the only team in football to average negative yards per play with pressure at minus 0.7. The Steelers, meanwhile, have generated pressure on a league-high 49% of their pass rushing snaps this season. They lead the league in 30 snaps. If they get a lead, which they will, it's going to be hard for the Cowboys to come back. Because you need to throw the ball to come back in games, and Pittsburgh's ranks 6th in passing yards allowed, only allowing 213.9 yards per game. They rank 3rd in opponent QBR at 80.9, and 1st in completion percentage. No other team has held opposing quarterbacks under 60% completion-wise, except the Steelers at 57. Don't try and run on them either, as they rank 5th in the league, only allowing 96.8 yards per game. So you can feed Zeke all you want, but he's probably not going to eat in this one. The number was, that number 2 on the rushing yards was inflated by the Ravens when they played, who has a great rushing attack last week, so that number should be even lower. So they're still in the top 5 in the league. Steelers are undefeated for a reason. They're going to pimp slap the Cowboys this week, so slap some money down on them. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the channel, make sure to subscribe or like our videos below. Thank you once again for listening, and enjoy your football Sunday.